So in today's warm-up, we're going to be comparing expressions in our previous two warm-ups. We are going to be looking back at the last couple of warm-ups that we did, and we're going to be looking at something very specific, which we'll talk about in a moment. So you should have done this. You should have done the two warm-ups, looked at them, gone through the videos, discussed it with someone, and then, of course, answered these three questions on the videos and the warm-ups. Okay, so the two problems, what do they have in common? Well, I know that most of you talked about how they were you both wrote expressions in both of them, and that you wrote those expressions using let statements. But many, if not most, of you missed the big picture here. What we were really looking at is to compare those expressions that you wrote in both of them, the end results, where you got when you got to the end. So here's the two expressions from those two warm-ups. And the thing that you should notice pretty quickly is that both of them have division. They both divide by 2. So both expressions have division by 2. That was the most important thing that you should have noticed. Then the next thing, when we start talking about differences, and now that I've brought the division to your attention, hopefully you've started to notice this on your own. You should notice that that division takes place at different times. So most importantly, the division is done in a different order. In each. Expression. So in this one, we know that we divide first, and in this one, you should know that you're going to divide second. Okay? Next question, what would go wrong if you use the same approach for both of these? In other words, what would happen if you change the order of when the division takes place? So in other words, if instead of doing this, I had it as C plus 14 and then divide by 2. Or for this one, if I had K divided by 2 and then subtract 24, what would happen? Would it be right? Well, certainly not. I already said that here, that what would go wrong. But let's put these out in flowcharts and let's see what happens. And then you can hopefully really see the difference. So I'm just really going to do it for this one here. You can do it for that one if you'd like, but you should see it right away. So I'm going to color code them. So here's my first one here. So what's the story of C? C, the first thing that happens to C is that it's divided by 2, which of course is what gives you C divided by 2. And then the next action that happens to it is that you add 14, which is how you end up at C divided by 2 plus 14. Then, if I look at this next one, what happens to C this time? I start with C, always start with the variable. The first action that happens to it in this one is that you add 14. So it gives you C plus 14. And then the next action is that you divide by 2. So it should be pretty clear that you would never end up with the same answer because your actions are done in a different order. Different order means different answer.